Go.
Hey guys, this is the garden tour that I promised. We're gonna start with the cornfield, as you can see here. I just planted corn 2 inches below the grass. Spaced it with the mower so I could mow in between. And it's doing fine. Over here there's better corns, you can see. And corn is wind pollinated, so the pollen that comes off here has to touch every single one of these little hairs. Each one of these hairs is one kernel. And if it's not pollinated, there's no kernel on the cob there. So each one of those is one. Or one kernel. This is one of the ways that I grow tomatoes, just straight vertically. This needs a little trimming. I take off anything that looks like it's going to be a new plant, and they're always trying to make quote unquote new plants. And you can kind of see they come off the ends here like this. New plants. I'm going to come through and take all those off. And up there, I'll show you on another one, but they split off too. So if you keep it straight up and down like this, keep stuff off of the ground because they don't like to get wet, and it helps prevent disease. Same thing over here. You can see here, it'll usually shoot off two branches, a bottom one and a top, and then the one in the middle, like where that one was. And that middle one's going to be a whole nother stem. The bottom one's just a branch. There's some beans here. These are called dragon tongue beans. They're just like green beans. They're really good. Oh, no wonder she's making noise. She got out. Look. See? This is a bed that my chicken likes to get out and mess up. Every day, pretty much. So I get to come back and fix that one. I don't know why she likes this, but there's more beans. This bed and that bed, the summer stuff's gonna come out, the winter stuff's gonna go in, like spinach. This is my first bed this year. Another one that the chicken likes to dig into. This is called a maypop. It's a cold hardy passion fruit. And they're called maypops because all these vines will die off. It doesn't give fruit the first year, but all these vines will die off every year down to the base. And it'll pop back out again. That's why they call them maypops. So every year it'll regrow the vines. These boards, when I'm starting carrots take about 10 days to germinate, sometimes more. So I put boards down, keep them wet. I'll check it after about a week, and once they start to germinate, I'll take it off. Sometimes if you use a lighter pole, like with these tomatoes, they'll fall over. That's what that's doing. This is sunflower. This is a squash. I started a little later in the season recently, actually, because the other squash is starting to die out. I get squash bugs bad. I'll show you what that means for the plant. And this is just lettuce that I let go to seed. I take the seeds from. The lettuce will shoot up, it'll flower. These right here, the flower's dry, and all those are lettuce seeds. Chard that the birds keep tearing up. This is dazzling blue kale, I believe is this. Dwarf Scottish kale, or curly kale. This is Dana's favorite. These are my cucumbers. I got a bunch that need to come off. Same thing with the cucumbers. I grow them vertically, and I will keep stray vines trimmed. I got like a slicing cucumber with a thicker skin and a pickling cucumber. This bed was supposed to be all strawberries this year, but next year it will be all strawberries because I've spread them about. But I mixed it with compost that was too hot. So everything at the beginning of the year did crappy. Now this stuff is blowing up. I got a bunch of spurred peppers here, tons of peppers. And then I'm letting these strawberries spread out. because they'll shoot out runners and spread out. So next year this will be covered in strawberries. Like actually got a few right here. This is a jalapeno. You can see a ton of jalapenos. Jalapenos over there. This is a type of bell pepper called a yellow wonder. It'll get kind of purple at the bottom. These two bushes are honeyberries. They're kind of like a blueberry, a little earlier in the season. These got scorched by the sun, like a lot of stuff got scorched by the sun. But they're coming back. This over here is all going to get rocked in, like you see here, just to help keep down the grass and the weeds. A lot of these potted plants I'm going to be getting rid of. A lot of these, like currants, bell peppers. Here, this pepper plant, I don't know what's wrong with it, but it's just like almost every pepper that comes off has got some sort of pest or something wrong with it. Potted blueberries. The only blueberries I've had that have done really a good job is the potted blueberries. Apricot tree right here, doing pretty well. You can see in that back corner there's a artichoke. You can go through there, bud. It's not exactly friendly, like a visitor friendly in here right now. This is a fig. This started out as a cutting in the wintertime. These grow bags are freaking awesome. You have to water them more, but it's just healthier overall potted tree. I'm gonna move some of these so we can get through. This is my main tomato bed. I did the vertical method with these, obviously. But next year, I'm not gonna do the string because it just drips. I'm gonna put something in between these two so they can go all the way up. So essentially I just have this like coming off the string and resting on the actual support up there, which isn't even really a support, but this particular tomato is called Get Stuffed, and it's been churning them out all year. Even when everything else is splitting in the heat, this did not split terribly. Let's see here. This baby watermelons. These are the Ben Komodo watermelons. They're honestly not that great, filled with seeds. Like totally filled with seeds, which sucks. But these little clips here are what I use to attach these tomatoes to the string. Yeah. And then I try to keep all the bottom branches off the ground. This over here, this is an in-ground raspberry. It's doing great. Raspberries fruit on the second year canes. So all these are first years. I cut the ones that produced off before. So next year, all of this will have raspberries. It'll be a ton. Rhubarb is going nuts right there. Need to trim that one back a little bit. The basil, I got a ton of basil. Basil wants to go to seed always. So this flowering, every time I'm out here, I'll just pick these flowers off. And it continues, changes the hormones and continues to grow foliage. The ones that I've done really good about picking, like this one over here, tons of basil over there. This corner's kind of crowded. See, those are beefsteaks. And behind that is pink brandywine. Or no, those are pink brandywines. So this bed here is like my fig experiment. A bunch of different cold hardy varieties of figs. This one here in particular. These all started as cuttings in the wintertime. So it was basically a stick like that big in the wintertime. The in-ground figs have done great. I've planted them with beans, the dragon tongue beans. Beans take oxygen or nitrogen out of the air and fix it into the ground. They're one of the few plants that do that. And I think that's really benefited these figs back here. This bed back here, it's just kind of threw together. It's a lot of perennial stuff like horseradish here. These are sunchokes or Jerusalem artichokes. It's a big tall sunflower that produces flower a little later in the season. These are just regular sunflowers. And it's got an edible tuber, which hopefully is gonna be pretty good because this bed's gonna be covered in them soon. In the back there, I have I don't know if you can see the berries, but it's called a garden huckleberry. It's an annual huckleberry. And the berries are actually poisonous until you cook them. But apparently they're really good after that. Yeah. That's the chicken that messes everything up. Squash right here. This is called a Romanesco zucchini. You can kind of see, that's a big one that I let go too long, but that's about perfect size. I'll probably pick that one tomorrow. This one's doing great. This is our one big plant through here. And then there's another squash behind the cucumbers. It's just kind of taken over. That's the only thing over there right now. I have some peppers over here, shishitos. These tomatillos though kind of took this bed over, which is fine. I like tomatillos, but with how many I've been getting, I'll probably only do one plant next year because this is 2 plants I have more than I know what to do with because it's pretty much just sauce. This is a squash plant that has been overtaken by squash bugs. So a lot of them like, they like certain squash plants over others. Like these right here, those are squash bug eggs. Right there. And I just wipe those off whenever I do see them. But they give birth and then there's a ton of them. Like, look at these little mofos right there. See them crawling around? All those guys. And then they grow up and they get big and yeah, they suck, and I'm not really totally sure what to do about them because some plants they just totally wreck, and others it's like they don't even touch. So maybe just take the ones that they don't touch and plant those. More beans. These beans I planted to try to grow up this little teepee thing, but the birds just devastate them. They get these little scarlet flowers, and then when the beans are about that big, the birds come in and just tear them up. They don't touch the dragon tongue beans, which are right underneath them, but something about these they just love. On this bed over here, I just recently took out a bunch of kale and froze it from here, but I'm starting carrots and beets in here to cover this with plastic and let them last longer into the cold season. This here is a butternut squash. It's huge. You can see there's one there. There's a few hanging over there that are ready, or close to being ready. Some chard under here that got a little better protected from the bugs. or from the birds, but this is a Nikita's Gift persimmon. There's a bush cherry tree over there. Big sunflower and a bunch of other flowers mixed in. This is fennel. I wanted to collect the seeds for sausage stuff, but the wasps love this for some reason. There's always wasp all over this, so we'll see. This is yarrow. This is a West Indies habanero. So to give you an idea of how hot that is, on that Scoville heat unit, jalapenos are about 8,000, and this is about 400 something thousand. This here, I just recently tied all these branches down to kind of sculpt them how I want them for these trees, but these are 3 peach trees, so I want this one to kind of come out in the middle. This one's going to kind of go that way, and then this one's going to go that way. They'll help pollinate each other. It'll look like one big tree with 3 trunks. Got some comfrey here. The soil here is really crappy, and so comfrey really goes down and just busts things up, busts the soil up. Lavender, rosemary, assorted herbs. Behind the comfrey over there, there's some thyme and some chives. This is the fig experiment continued, just in potted plants, all different varieties. You can see the differences in leaves. Like you look at something like this, and you see that leaf, and then you come to something like this, you see that leaf, and some of them like this guy hardly has any. These are just experiments. These 2 apples. I've been meaning all summer to shape this one, like build a frame for it and shape it. I'm going to try to do that and then bring these up and bring them out too. We'll see how that works. Since I have a lot of in-ground fruit trees, I'm not too worried about these. I'll probably end up putting berries or something in those long term. This is a perennial walking stick kale, so this will just keep going, allegedly. It'll just keep going. This here, so this pumpkin also got pretty devastated by squash bugs. This was like all green, perfect leaves, and the squash bugs just demolished it. Still got 8 or 9 large pumpkins. Same thing, another butternut squash over here. However, the squash bugs suck. I got more squash coming in. I'm gonna take these out probably once these pumpkins are fully ripened, so the bugs hopefully die out, and I'll try to keep them off of the new plants the best I can. Allegedly, wiping those eggs off before they breed is ideal, but this looks like a puppet because I just tied all these down. Anything that's not tied down is going to come out in the winter time, so essentially I'm going to have this it about like this, and then it'll go up from there. This is an apple tree, 3 different types of apples grafted onto it. Same thing, this zucchini plant was beautiful and green a couple weeks ago, and the squash bugs have just so this is going to come out soon also, and some winter broccoli is going to get put in this bed where all this stuff is, or it's a spring broccoli. It overwinters and then it gives you heads in the spring. That's tobacco, broadleaf tobacco there. I don't know what I'm going to do with that yet. We'll see. So this right here is a pumpkin that I planted up front. The soil's pretty bad. Up here, I'm surprised that it's doing as well as it has been. It hasn't been fruiting much. There's like 2 or 3 pumpkins on it, so hopefully it produces some fruit here shortly. This is an apple that I just added, a Macintosh. I just got to get it tied down to shape because I want it to be a good shape up here in the front especially. Here's some lavender that's done okay. This vine's kind of smothered it a little bit. But this is comfy too, needs to be watered. But goes down, busts up the ground, hopefully helps the tree roots. Another fig, another tobacco. These are 2 plums. These started out as just bare root. I mean, all this stuff is new growth from this year, and I've actually trimmed these down. See the pumpkin with the I guess it's the bad soil. It's kind of giving these a rough time. The squash bugs aren't up here that I can see, but the soil up here just sucks. That's a gumi, which is an early berry. This is a bush cherry. We got a ton of cherries off of this year. I got more comfrey in here busting this up. Some currants, tomatoes, blueberries have just been trash. Like, I can't keep them alive. The only ones I've been able to keep alive, really, I mean, this is still alive, but it's not healthy. The only ones I've been able to really keep alive have been the ones in pots. And then the blackberries is also doing great. We've gotten a ton of blackberries off of it. And yeah, they're freaking delicious. This has been my favorite thing. And then this here's just kind of like herbs and strawberries. Sage, thyme, a little bit of chamomile back there, rosemary, and then the strawberries. We got a good bit of strawberries off of this, but I'll probably phase strawberries out up here and just make this herbs and use the strawberry bed in the back because it's same variety. Some of them we're taking from up here. And yeah. So that's the garden.